Okay. I will be continuing the reading of my full-length novel slash screenplay, Backwoods, as part of the Monsters Saga in this video. In the last video, video number 4, we covered Act 2 and Act 3, which consisted of scenes 6 through 10. In this video, video number 5, I'm looking at Act number 4, day number 5. Well, this is going to be the longest act in this script. This is going to consist of scenes 11 through 57. Well, we're going to be breaking that down into sections, and today we're going to try to cover the initial driving section and make our way to the old Talbot farm, aka the Wade family's property. That's going to take scenes 11 through 28. That's what I'm hoping to cover. Now that may seem like a lot, but a lot of these scenes are going to be short exterior driving pieces. Remember scene 6 from Act 2? It closed out the 3rd video and it started the 4th video. Yeah, it's short scenes like that. Some of them are going to be longer, some of them are going to be shorter. This video will be a great example of how some of them are going to be shorter and some of them are going to be longer. This will be a great example of that. I've also been forgetting to mention that I have reviewed the first video, and one thing I said wrong was I listed, this is a correction. I listed AJ, Byron Wade's friend, as a tertiary character. Well, I've checked the script. He's supposed to be mentioned as a supporting cast member. He's not a main supporting cast member, but he is a supporting cast member. So I must have jumped the gun on that and just read it off wrong. So that's one thing I wanted to correct now before we get any deeper into the script, because I've been forgetting to do it. Alright. Well, everything out of the way, so let's begin. Act 4, Day 5, and we begin with Scene 11, which is going to be an exterior setting / location. Daytime, late morning. We start with footage of the Lasby station wagon driving through the West's mountainous terrain in search of Paulette's never before met or seen distant relative's property. The Lasbys have only the address Paulette's grandfather has given Paulette to go on. The road they are driving on is a slender, desolate 2-lane road that winds and curves throughout the landscape. We move to scene 12. This is going to be an interior setting / location, daytime, late morning. This will be continued from the last scene, and we begin the scene inside the Lasby station wagon with Martin driving and Paulette holding up a map. The couple is on a slender, desolate 2-lane road in search of Paulette's relative's property, and they apparently have a turn coming up sometime soon. This scene is going to be in conjunction with the main setting / location marked with a bold letter C, which we covered in our initial synopsis from the first and second video. This one being the final setting we covered from the first video. And well, this main setting / location marked with the bold letter C will pertain to the interior of the Lasby's station wagon. Dialogue. We begin with Martin addressing Paulette and not sounding too sure of himself. We've been on the road for about an hour, Paulette, so it figures that we have to be close. Paulette responding to Martin while still looking at the map and sounding confident. Yes, the turnoff has to be coming up soon. Keep your eyes peeled for it, Martin. I know we haven't passed it yet. Martin, are you sure? You've been saying that it's coming up for some time now, Paulette. Paulette, I know, Martin, but that's just me being me. I don't want us to miss it, so I have us looking for it way too early. Martin, shaking his head but smiling, and spoken with a witty charm. I'll say, it's getting to where I'm beginning to look for this turnoff in the rear view mirror. Paulette, upon hearing Martin's clever anecdote, she can't help but snicker a bit before saying, "Oh, honey, don't even start. It's ahead of us. We'll find it. And just you wait, 'cause if my relatives still own the property, then we're about to meet some good-hearted, wholesome Western folk and be in for a good, fun-loving time." Martin. At least we got a good day's worth of adventuring in yesterday, and we're not all sorts of fatigued and seem back to our old selves these last couple of days. Paulette, almost laughing at herself as she speaks. Well, at the least, you're being positive. I guess that'll have to do. We pause for character actions. It's now Martin's turn to snicker at Paulette's clever witticism, in a way perhaps even laughing at himself a bit, knowing that Paulette is right. He can be a bit reserved and even somewhat pessimistic at times. We return to the dialogue with Paulette, again, now sounding determined. But I mean it, Martin. I'm sure that if my relatives do still own the property, then we're sure to meet some good people and be in for a good time. Martin, now sounding agreeable but still a bit apprehensive. Well, I sure do hope you're right. I hope your relatives still own this farm, and I hope we have a good time once we get there. If we can get there. Pause for character actions. Martin smiles, thinking to himself that this last quip of his was a good one. However, glancing over at Paulette very briefly while driving, he notices that Paulette isn't laughing. She actually looks rather serious as she stares down at the map and then glances out at the road. We return to dialogue with Paulette. Grandpa Talbot said that we're looking for a farm sitting on the side of a smaller mountain that's scrunched in between several other larger mountains. The place is supposed to be far outside of the city, somewhat off the grid and deep into the mountains and wilderness. So it's supposed to be a bit of a journey just in finding the place and getting there, and therefore we're bound to have to cover some ground on this drive. Grandpa Talbot also mentioned that the little mountain the farm sits on is one of several mountains in the area which leads down to a crystal clear blue water lake, so there'll likely be trails for hiking, a lake for us to go swimming and fishing in, and plenty of ground to cover and explore. I'm sure my family will be glad to take us in. Excuse me. I'm sure my family will be glad to take us in for a few days and show us around the area. Us Talbots are all nice people. I'm sure that, whoever they are, they're going to be just delighted that we decided to stop in on them and pay them a visit while vacationing out here. Martin, I hope you're right. Paulette, sensing Martin's apprehension, oh, I know I'm right. Come on, Martin, lighten up a bit, honey. Don't think about it with such a negative outlook, and everything will work out and be okay. Just you wait and see. Martin, spoken in an even tone of voice. I don't think life's quite that simple, Paulette. Paulette, spoken with pride. Well, in this case, it is. You're dealing with the Talbot family. Martin, smiling. I do hope you're right, Paulette. But you know that I just can't help but be a little on guard when it comes to new people and new situations. That's just me being me. Paulette, now also smiling. Oh, I know, and that's all right. Anyway, the property has to be somewhere within the mountain chain to our right. We should see the turnoff coming up any minute now. We now pause for character actions. Martin nods his head up and down, and his smile brightens, but he does not reply. And soon Paulette turns her head away from Martin and looks out the window. To her surprise, she sees something coming up into view off in the distance, up ahead on their right. Suddenly, her eyes grow big and wide. She hurriedly folds up the map in order to get it out of her way while at the same time motioning to Martin to get his attention. With the map out of the way, Paulette excitedly starts to point at the turnoff, which is coming up on their right, marked by a road sign which reads Apache Trail. We move back to the dialogue with Paulette again, excitedly pointing a finger and motioning to Martin that the turnoff is coming up. Oh, Martin! Oh, honey, look! Is that it? I think it is. Apache Trail. It's the turnoff. Martin, now sounding a bit excited and enthusiastic himself. Yup, it sure is. It looks like we've found it. We're going to move to scene 13 now, which is going to be daytime, late morning, continued from last scene. We begin this scene with a shot of the turnoff coming up on the road ahead of the Lasby station wagon and off to the right. Martin brakes and slows the vehicle down as they near the turnoff, which is marked by a road sign which reads Apache Trail. We now move on to scene 14. Scene 14 is going to be an interior setting / location, daytime, late morning, continued from last scene, back inside the Lasby station wagon, still approaching the turnoff. And this scene is going to connect with the main setting / location marked with a bold letter C. We begin the dialogue with Martin again. I do need to let you know again, so we're continuing from the last scene. We're just picking the dialogue right back up. So this is going to be Martin again. We're not really breaking things, so I felt it was necessary to do that. He will be addressing Paulette and spoken with some surprise upon seeing the road up close. Are you sure this is it, Paulette? It's a dirt road, and judging by the look of it, not much of one. Paulette, responding to Martin as the station wagon approaches the turnoff, and spoken in an excited tone of voice. Yes, Martin, I'm sure. The sign says Apache Trail. This is the road. Make a right-hand turn here. We now move to scene 15, which is going to be an exterior setting / location, daytime, late morning, continued from the last scene. And, well, the Lasby station wagon is getting closer to the turnoff, despite the vehicle's reduced speed. Now the station wagon turns onto the rural dirt road marked by the road sign which reads Apache Trail. And now we move to scene 16, which is going to be an interior setting / location. Daytime, late morning. We're going to continue from the last scene. Back in the Lasby's station wagon with Martin driving and Paulette now holding the map on her lap. The station wagon has just made its turn onto the dirt road, which is a bit bumpy in comparison to the paved road. Martin glances at Paulette with a brief but uneasy look before returning his eyes to the road. Despite the station wagon bumping and rocking and bouncing all about, Paulette still picks the map up, as if to open it and read it, but then turns toward Martin to speak. Of course, this scene will be connected with the main setting / location marked with the bold letter C. We begin the dialogue with Paulette again, addressing Martin and sounding sure of herself. This is the road, Martin. Martin, responding to Paulette and relenting a bit. I know, Paulette, it just doesn't look like much of one. Paulette, I just can't wait till we find the place. This is important to me. This is my opportunity to see the old Talbot family farm. This is going to be great. You're going to enjoy this too, Martin. Martin, giving in and sounding agreeable. I know. I'm just nervous. I'm looking forward to seeing the place too. I really do hope your relatives still own it. Paulette, smiling and looking pleased, she replies, well, we're going to find out soon. We now move to scene 17, which will be an exterior setting / location, daytime, late morning, continued from last scene, And, well, with this scene, we maybe can flip on the radio and turn up some traveling music. But nothing that'll last too long, for this will be a very short time-lapse piece, much like the montage piece, showing the Lasby's station wagon driving along the rural dirt road, heading deeper and deeper into the sparse forest and up and through the mountain chain, leading toward the base of the mountain where they believe the old Talbot farm will be located, though not yet getting there. The Lasbys end up making 3 or 4 turns along the way, the road seeming to get more and more bumpy and rugged the further into the mountains they travel on them. The roads, not road. It's not a single road. The roads. I hope I said that. They see about the same number of farmhouses along the way as the number of turns their vehicle has made on these rural dirt roads, impressing upon the interpreter a sense of isolation as well as a sense of distance traveled into the sparse forests surrounding the rural dirt roads which are leading the Lasbys through the mountain chain and toward the old Talbot farm. We move to scene 18, which is going to be an interior setting / location, daytime, noon. Continued from last scene, now inside the Lasby station wagon. The station wagon is being driven down a rural, almost completely desolate dirt road, and the road becomes bumpier and continues to get more rough and rugged as the Lasbys make their way toward the base of one particular mountain in the chain of mountains. The station wagon bobs up and down and rocks back and forth as it moves along, truly putting a test on the vehicle's shocks. Martin and Paulette have been driving for some time now, with Martin still sitting behind the wheel and Paulette still sitting in the passenger seat. Paulette is again holding the map up and navigating, despite the bumpy conditions. They do seem to be having some trouble finding the old Talbot farm. This is going to be connected with main settings / locations marked in bold with the letter C. We begin our dialogue with Martin addressing Paulette and sounding a little dispirited. This place is hard to find. Are you sure you don't want to call this off, Paulette? Paulette, responding to Martin's question and sounding as determined as ever. I remember every turn we've taken so far, and I know I can get us back to the main road if that's what you're worried about. So keep going. It has to be just a little bit further up ahead, Martin. It just has to be. Martin, complaining. You keep saying that. Paulette, well, that's what the map says, and you know me. Interrupted. Martin, interrupting Paulette. Yes, honey, I know how you always like to plan ahead. Paulette, agreeably enough. That's right. Martin, well, We've been driving these bumpy rural backwoods dirt roads for nearly half an hour now, and there's still no sign of your family's old farm. Maybe it was bulldozed to the ground or swallowed up by the surrounding forest. Maybe it no longer interrupted. Paulette interrupting Martin, still sounding determined, though she is now also feeling a bit dispirited. She says, "Oh, hush. It still exists. We're just not there yet. Grandpa Talbot did say that it was a bit of a ways into the mountain wilderness. Don't worry so much, Martin. We will find it." Martin, in an even tone of voice, "We'll see." We pause for character actions. Paulette gives Martin a light, playful slap on the shoulder. Martin looks over at Paulette with a sly smile on his face, knowing that he has pushed one of Paulette's buttons, whether he meant to or not. Regardless, Martin and Paulette are both smiling, despite their shared frustration about not yet having found the old Talbot farm. The Lasbys are ultimately happy to be spending this time together on their vacation out west. They aren't planning on ruining this vacation by squabbling and fighting with each other, but they do engage in some playful banter from time to time. For now, they focus their eyes on the road and drive along in silence, except, of course, for the clunking sounds of the station wagon going over all of the little bumps in the road, and perhaps the music coming out of the car stereo speaker system playing at a very low volume level. And this helps to move us into our next scene, our exterior. This is going to be scene 19, exterior setting / location, daytime. Now we're into the early afternoon. This is going to be continued from last scene. Martin is driving the Lasby station wagon along a very bumpy and rugged dirt road. The woods are a lot thicker in this area, and the huge mountains rise up all around. Paulette still feels they are on the right track, but Martin is getting impatient. Though she is too determined on reaching their destination to admit it, Paulette is getting a little impatient too. Both Martin and Paulette can't help but wonder. I mean, has the entire time we've spent searching for the old Talbot farm been spent in vain? Are we really going to find this place, or is this all just a waste of time? And we move on to our scene 20, interior setting / location. Daytime, early afternoon, continued from the last scene. We are back inside the Lasby's station wagon with Martin driving and Paulette looking down at the map. The normal married couple is in the same solemn, dispirited, tentative mood as before, but they have both been mostly quiet for the past few minutes, only saying a few words, usually in the form of brief, humorous quips, as small talk, both of them fighting the boredom that comes with the long drive and the frustration stemming from having such difficulties in finding this place. This is, of course, going to be a scene connected with our main setting / location marked with the bold letter C. And this is going to move us into our dialogue with Martin. Getting bored and antsy, but attempting to be playful. Are we there yet? Paulette, no. Martin, after a brief pause. Are we there yet? Paulette, no. Martin, after a brief pause. Are we there yet? Paulette, getting annoyed. No, stop that. Martin, after a slightly longer, brief pause. Are we there yet? Paulette, now getting fed up and wanting him to stop. Nevertheless, she can't help but laugh at Martin's immature style of humor as she replies, No, stop doing that. We'll get there. You'll see. Martin, if you say so. Martin, again, after another brief pause to make for the right emphasis and a touch of a humorous effect. Are we there yet? Moving into character actions. Martin laughs, for he is amusing himself, and Paulette shakes her head and smiles, but does not respond to Martin this time around. As far as Paulette is concerned, there's no assurance or guarantee that her and Martin really will find the old Talbot farm. And unlike Martin, Paulette doesn't want to accept that. She's just not feeling as sure as she was before about her and Martin finding the place. But her grandfather said that this place was located deep within the forested mountainside, away from civilization. And that's what she is going on. And that's this little scrap of information that's been keeping her hopes up and driving her forward. That's why she refuses to admit defeat and turn back. After a brief pause, Paulette folds up the map, drops it down into her lap, and looks at the road up ahead of their current position in the station wagon as the vehicle makes its way around a bend in the road. Paulette seems like she's about to say something, but then her eyes squint and an impressive sort of look forms on her face as she looks onward after rounding the bend. Noticing Paulette's reaction, Martin slows the station wagon down ever so slightly and starts to look to the road ahead as well. And now he sees it, and now it's his turn to be impressed. The scene cuts to an exterior shot before either one of them can announce what it is that they are now seeing. 21. Exterior, or an interior shot but through the front windshield and from the driver's point of view. It will be daytime, early afternoon, continued from last scene. The scene will be explained from Martin's point of view, for he is driving and is just now seeing what Paulette sees. Martin taps on the brakes to slow down the Lasby station wagon as he looks around and takes in the scene. The first thing that he notices is that there's a turnoff up ahead on the right. There also seems to be a poorly made rigged together wooden sign stuck into the dirt beside the turnoff. There's something written on this sign, apparently sprayed on with a can of red spray paint, but the vehicle isn't close enough for the Lasbies to read the sign yet. We now move to scene 22. This will be an interior setting / location. This will be daytime, early afternoon, continued from the last scene. From inside the Lasby's station wagon, approaching the turnoff, which will lead them down the single lane road with the odd wooden sign. This will be in conjunction with the main setting / location marked in bold by the letter C. Okay, Paulette addressing Martin in a puzzled yet still upbeat fashion to begin our dialogue. What do you make of that? Martin responding with about the same enthusiasm. I don't know. Is that supposed to be the turnoff? Paulette. I don't know. What do you think, Martin? Martin, first responding, then briefly pausing to observe and take a look at the scene again before pointing out the obvious with a hint of humor and irony to his voice. I don't know. It looks like somebody put up a sign to mark the road. We now move into scene 23, which is going to be an exterior setting / location. Daytime, early afternoon. Continued from last scene, the Lasby station wagon begins to slow down as it approaches the turnoff marked by the rigged wooden sign. A large stick is stuck in the dirt with a wood board nailed to it. The wood board has words spray painted onto it in the color red. The words read, Thor's Road. We now move to scene 24. An interior setting / location, daytime, early afternoon, continued from last scene. From inside the Lasby station wagon, Martin and Paulette can now make out the sign which reads Thor's Road. Martin applies a little more pressure to the vehicle's brakes, slowing the vehicle down to a crawl just prior to the sign and the turnoff. Of course, we mark this interior setting / location. Well, this interior scene is marked with the main setting / location connected to the bold letter C. There we go. And we begin the dialogue with Paulette addressing Martin, still in a state of wonder and surprise. Thor's Road? What in the world? Martin responding to Paulette in a contemplative tone. I don't know. I think Thor is supposed to be some kind of mythical god or something like that. Or was it a comic book character? I forget. We pause to move to character actions. Paulette tilts her head back. Her eyebrows raise up, and she awkwardly smirks in response to the absurdity of their current situation. Martin shakes his head back and forth, left to right, and then shrugs his shoulders. We now move to scene 25. This is going to be an exterior setting / location. Daytime, early afternoon, continued from the last scene. Martin pulls the Lasby station wagon over onto the side of the road to a stop just prior to the turnoff and the odd sign marking the dirt road. Martin is not yet ready to commit to making the turn down this latest out of the way and completely desolate, slender Seagull Lane dirt road. The sparse wilderness is exceptionally thick in this area, and this new road, Thor's Road, the turnoff they feel they should probably be taking if they truly hope to find the old Talbot farm, looks to be about as rough and rural as any road can be. We will now move to scene 26, which is going to be an interior setting / location. It will be daytime, early afternoon, continued from the last scene. We now find ourselves back inside the Lasby station wagon with the sign reading Thor's Road immediately in front of the Lasbys. Martin has pulled over just prior to the turnoff for this extraordinarily narrow single-lane dirt road. Curious, the Lasbys contemplate the sign and its meaning and placement as they try and figure out whether or not they've located the proper turnoff and road. This will be connected to the main setting / location marked with a bold letter C. We move to the dialogue. Paulette addressing Martin with some enthusiasm. I remember now. The legend of Thor and his hammer. I remember the story of Thor being somewhat similar to a story known as The Sword in the Stone. If you know the storyline, you'll remember that in The Sword in the Stone, there is a sword stuck in a stone, which, as legend has it, can only be removed by the rightful heir to the throne of Camelot. A young boy named Arthur ends up pulling that sword out of the stone. It's stuck in and becomes the rightful king of Camelot at the end of the story. I believe the legend of Thor and his hammer was somewhat similar to the story of the Sword in the Stone, being that Thor is the only one who can hold his hammer. If I remember correctly, Thor finds his hammer towards the beginning of the story rather than at the end of it. Oh, I can't remember. Why Thor is the only one who can hold the hammer. I remember that it's his hammer that gives him the godly powers, making him incredibly strong and nearly invincible. Thor's magic hammer. Maybe Thor was a descendant from some warrior class royal bloodline, or perhaps he was the conception of God's transgressions with a mortal. I obviously don't remember it all, but I can remember the general gist of the storyline. There was a hammer. Martin responding to Paulette and still in a state of wonder. Who do you think put this up? Paulette speaking realistically. Probably a couple of kids. Thor? It sounds like a pretty fun and cool character for a kid to want to follow, look up to, and idolize, don't you think? Martin, replying in a contemplative tone of voice, and then a moment's pause for more contemplation after his two initial questions before giving up and agreeing with Paulette. Kids? Out here? You're probably right. Paulette. Of course I am. There are kids everywhere. Pause for character actions. Martin gazes warily at Paulette, but Paulette pays him no mind. Paulette is determined to find the old Talbot farm. She looks out from her vantage point in the station wagon's passenger's seat at their general surroundings. She notices something on the ground in the overgrown bushes and shrubbery next to the makeshift road sign. Getting Martin's attention, Paulette points to the object. Back to dialogue, starting with Paulette again, addressing Martin and spoken with a sense of discovery and intrigue as she pats Martin's leg with her left hand and points with her right, not taking her eyes off of the object the entire time. Martin, what's that? Do you see it? In the brush? By the sign? Martin, looking but not seeing. What? What is it? Paulette, now sounding rather persuasive and more determined than ever as she opens up the passenger side door halfway through her first sentence and exits the vehicle. I don't know, but I'm going to find out. Come on, get out and come with me. Martin, not sounding quite as enthusiastic, but giving in. Okay, I'm coming. We now pause for character actions. Paulette exits the Lasby station wagon on the passenger's side of the vehicle, and the door slams shut behind her. Martin sighs and takes a deep breath, but then he follows his wife's lead, opening up the driver's side door and exiting the vehicle on the driver's side and closing the door behind himself. We move to scene 27, which is going to be an exterior setting / location. This is going to be daytime, early afternoon. Continued from last scene. The Lasby station wagon is now parked on the road near the turnoff. Martin and Paulette have already exited the vehicle, Martin having followed Paulette's lead. Paulette is already walking toward the makeshift sign that reads Thord's Road. Martin hurries to catch up with her, and they approach the makeshift sign together. The couple nears the sign and comes to a stop. Paulette points down to a spot in the underbrush where the original road sign has been knocked over and all but swallowed up by the unkempt vegetation. The original sign is not precisely like the road signs one would see all over the place, the ones with the thick steel post and reflective green or blue borders with the white or silver lettering, but it is a legitimate and standard road sign for smaller roads, like the ones found marking the streets to apartment complexes, trailer parks, or rural dirt roads such as this one. Such as the ones they're on, rather. We now move to dialogue, beginning with Paulette addressing Martin and sounding like they're right on the verge of a great discovery as she points a finger at the overgrown weeds near... the overgrown weeds just past the makeshift road sign. Check it out. What is that, Martin? Martin, finally seeing what Paulette is pointing at, he now asks, "What is that?" Paulette, "I think it's the original road sign." Pause for character actions. Martin leans over and tries to clear some of the underbrush, weeds, and debris away from the sign in order to read it. Paulette leans in close next to Martin in order to get a good look too. The road sign the Lasbys have found lying in the overgrown underbrush is without a doubt the authentic sign for the road, and it is the road the Talbot family farm is supposed to be situated on. Thor's Road is really Navajo Trail. Returning to dialogue, Paulette, again, immediately getting excited and feeling very optimistic after reading the authentic road sign. "Oh yes, that's it. This is it. This is the road my family's farm is supposed to be on. The name on the road matches up with the address my Grandpa Talbot gave me. We're here, Martin. We found the farm." Martin, sounding a bit more pessimistic and reserved about the situation. "We haven't found it yet, Paulette." Paulette, "Yes, but this is the road." Martin, "Yes, but we still have to drive down this road and see if the farm is still even occupied and intact. If it is, then we have to knock on the front door of the home and make sure your family still owns the place." Paulette, "Well, what are we waiting for? Let's go. Let's do this." We pause for character actions. Paulette turns and runs back toward the passenger's side of the car. Martin follows her lead and turns around, but he walks back to the driver's side. Paulette gets in first and waits for Martin before closing the door. Back to character dialogue. Paulette, again, happy and excited. "Come on, hurry up." Martin, smiling but not picking up the pace. I'm coming. Pause again for character action. Martin gets to the car and hops in behind the wheel. They both slam their doors shut at the exact same time. They're ready to roll. The car starts up and the vehicle is put into gear. Martin makes a right-hand turn onto the single-lane dirt road, Navajo Trail, and the Lasby station wagon takes off down the latest rural dirt road, kicking up a slight trail of dust in its wake. Okay, scene 28. Exterior. Daytime, early afternoon, continued from the last scene. This will be a shot of the Lasby station wagon driving down the single-lane dirt road, Navajo Trail, soon approaching a steep hill and going up it. To Martin and Paulette's surprise, the old Talbot farm comes into view ahead of their position on the road as the vehicle reaches the top of this steep incline. The farm is impressive and it looks like it's inhabited, but something does seem off. Even from a good distance away, the farm looks a little worn and run down. However, heading into the next scene, Martin and Paulette will be so surprised and excited to see the place that it'll take them a moment to notice and register the condition of the land, property, and structures on it. And well, this will be pertaining to the main settings / locations marked in bold with letter E, which is pertaining to the Wade family's property, aka the old Talbot Farm. For the fun of it, y'all want to do one more, I'm sure. Just get a little more dialogue in. I don't mind. I'm getting to the point to where I want to quit, but doing one or two more wouldn't hurt. So let's do, as a bonus, Scene 29. An interior setting / location. Daytime, early afternoon. Continued from last scene. Back inside the Lasby's station wagon. Martin is driving, and Paulette now has the map folded up and put away, and is anxiously looking out at what she hopes and believes will be the old Talbot farm. The Lasby station wagon has just reached the top of the hill, and the farm has just come into view. There are fields coming up on either side of the little dirt road, and the main house and other such structures are straight ahead of their position on the road, but still a little way up. The smaller mountain the property rests on rises up in the background behind the farm. The property is located at the mountain's eastern base. And, well, we are back in the station wagon, so this is going to be marked by the main setting / location with the bold letter C. Alright, we begin our dialogue with Paulette, addressing Martin and sounding ecstatically excited as they reach the top of the hill. "Oh, Martin, I think that's it. Oh, isn't it wonderful? That has to be the old Talbot family farm." Martin, responding to Paulette and sounding a bit calmer and more reserved. "It looks like we found it. Let's just hope that your family still owns this place and lives here. If not, let's hope that the folks who do live here are friendly." Paulette scolding Martin. "Oh, Martin, give it a rest. Worst case scenario, we aren't welcomed here and we have to turn the car around and head back. Big deal. We have plenty of other places to visit, other sights to see, and other things to do." Martin, apologizing somewhat nonchalantly, still keeping upbeat. "Sorry, honey. I was just saying," interrupted Paulette, interrupting Martin. "You were just being negative and pessimistic, as usual. Stop worrying so much before you give yourself an ulcer." Martin, "I'm not worrying, Paulette. I just like to prepare myself for the worst, just in case." Paulette, "Well, I don't. It worries me." We now pause for character actions. Martin smiles back at Paulette. A pause and a bit of an awkward moment of silence as Martin and Paulette look around, now taking a closer look at the property. The closer the Lasby station wagon gets to the farm's main house and other such structures, the more that stands out to the couple. What they see isn't appealing to the eyes, either. But Martin and Paulette are not the most superficial or judgmental of people and are therefore still completely open and receptive to meeting these people who they are hoping will be Paulette's relatives. Moving back into the dialogue with Paulette. Whoever does live here, they haven't done a very good job when it comes to maintaining the place, have they? Martin. No, they haven't. And we now move to scene 30, an exterior setting / location, which we will pick up on whenever we return for the next video, video 6. I thank you as always for tuning in to these episodes, to viewing these videos. I do hope you enjoy them. And well, thank you as always. Good night.